What is the difference between a memory that serves you or a memory that may hinder you or hold you back or be experienced as traumatic, right? Because with trauma, it's highly individualized, and it seems to be something can happen to somebody and they carry on and somebody else can get stuck. It sounds like you found a way to not get stuck in those moments. So.
Yeah, I really have. And that brings me back to, the part of my personal story of why I'm doing what I'm passionate about now, which is this sound healing and vocal toning. Um, I want to, I want to share like a specific example of what you're talking about. So the fires that happened last January here, the Marshall fires in Superior, they were pretty traumatic for a lot of people in the community. And I personally was stuck in my car for hours trying to get out of the area. And there were like flames in my rearview mirror. I couldn't get home to Cody. And my animals, he kind of left and went a different direction, and I had to go a different direction. And as I was sitting in the car for hours, I made a choice. Like I could sit there and in a normal traumatic situation, we let our nervous systems elevate. We start to get overwhelmed by emotions. Our body starts getting hot. Our heart starts to race, and you can feel our anxiety getting rising up. And a lot of people like contract and hold. And this is when, a lot of trauma can get stuck in the body on a very energetic level. And intuitively, I knew to just start toning. And at that point, I hadn't had any vocal toning, experience. I just started going, and just felt like the vibrations in my body, and my nervous system went woo, 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 just like dropped down. And I did that for 6 hours. It took me 6 hours to get to Cody, and I did it for 6 hours in the car. And I truly believe that I didn't hold the trauma in my body like a lot of other people did, because I used that energy and I expressed it and I moved it out of my body as it was happening.
So that's fascinating because, and please clean up the language around it. But so your belief is that trauma has a physical hold in the body. It's not just about processing, and it's not just about how we store it as a memory, but it's how it moves through the body in a like true physical structural nature. So you found a way to facilitate that movement through your body so it wouldn't get stuck, not even like finger quotes, like literally stuck in your body as a repeatable or, embedded experience.
Yeah, I teach my clients a lot the stress response cycle. I actually have a copy of it here just in case we talked about it.
She brought visual aids. This is all right. We're always down.
Visual aids.
We're always down for some visual aids. Yes, please talk us through that.
Essentially, so there's a stressor. So in this case, there were the fires, right? And there was activation. Like I could feel the activation in my system getting higher and higher. And so then in a normal stress response cycle, there needs to be some sort of response that completes that fight, flight, freeze, as you know, as a therapist. And the way that I focus on teaching my clients how to do that is through movement, voice, and art under the umbrella of expressive arts. And then to complete this cycle, you go back to like a sense of safety and connection, and then really important to go back into rest. And you can see I have some notes here because this is for my sound healing workshop. Like the sound bath is like the rest part, but a lot of people get stuck in these other two cycles. So they go from stressor to activation, and then they might go to stress response. They might move that energy through and complete that, but then they go straight back into a stressor without going into safety and rest. And that often shows up as like hyperarousal states, like people who are constantly anxious, agitated, or angry. And then the other cycle that a lot of people get stuck in is this one here, where they come from rest to a stressor and then activation, but they don't complete it They don't move it through and then come back into safety and rest. So they get stuck in this circle, which is often like that hypoarousal state where we're depressed or zoned out.
So those are your anxiety and depression pathways. And the cure, if you will, or the healthier way of transitioning through that is to find a way to get through that safety piece. Because, and again, I'm interpreting this, so correct me left and right if I need to be corrected, but it feels like if you can get to that safety piece, it allows the brain to properly categorize the experience. And so it doesn't have to categorize it as this repeatable stressor, but it's something I experienced or went through, but I found safety on the other side of that. So it doesn't have to be a thing we mark for future monitoring, right? Like our sympathetic nervous system is always looking, right? And so, you stuck in the car, because you found rest and safety, now when you're stuck in traffic, you don't have to go back to that same place physically as when you were being threatened by these fires. Am I close? Am I in the ballpark?
I think you're exactly, correct. I think it's those three pieces, that stress response, moving that energy through. And I did that with the vocal toning. And then later that evening, I found that safety and connection with my husband when we met back up. And then I rest. And then I got rest. Before other stressors started coming through.
Because without that safety piece, so I've heard it described as, living in a traumatic household or living in an abusive household, it's sort of like having a bear in the house, right? Like you're not constantly being attacked, but it's always around, right? So you're always kind of on alert. But this rest piece would be to get the bear into a cage, right? So you can let your system, kind of relax, let your sympathetic system kick in. I've got it properly categorized. I've got some power here. I've got some options. And so I don't have to escalate. That's amazing. And what's amazing about that is some of that stuff, I've been doing this for about 20 years now. Some of that stuff is almost like a given. Like the multiple pathways that you showed me right there are new. That's new information to me. It's for me, it was always, you're going to, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. But your view on it introduces some options and some choices. So it's not like a life sentence, right? There's options for you. It doesn't have to go that way.